Have you ever felt, deep down in your core, that something invisible pulls you down, keeping you on a treadmill of debt, uncertainty, and fear of tomorrow? You wake up, go to work, pay bills, sleep, and the next day everything repeats. And in the end, nothing tangible is left. Just the frustration of always just getting by. What if I told you there's a hidden belief, as subtle as a shadow, that traps you in this silent prison of mediocrity, without you even realizing it? A belief so powerful that it dictates the pace of your life, making money, opportunities, and abundance seem like fates reserved for other people, not for you. When I was young, I grew up believing I had little value, that success was for different kinds of people. I didn't even properly finish high school. I dropped out after the 8th grade. I tried to study at a vocational school, but a thumb injury made me quit. That accident wasn't just physical. It also severed any hope I had for the future. I found myself stuck in small, low-prestige jobs with no prospects, changing tires, lubricating cars, doing any dirty work that came my way just to put food on the table. I was young, full of doubts, and carried a feeling of inferiority larger than my own dreams. During that period, the word wealth seemed distant to me, almost like a myth, something for others, not for someone like me. But it was exactly this feeling, this deep belief that I wasn't worthy, that kept me poor. I didn't need a sophisticated business plan to fail. All I had to do was agree with that inner voice that said, "You don't deserve it, you're not capable, you don't have the right to dream big." This invisible belief functions like a junkyard in our minds. It weighs us down, slowly corrodes us, and prevents any action, no matter how much effort you put in, from leading us anywhere. You can work hard your whole life, save every penny, but if this dominating belief remains, everything you build will be doomed to collapse the moment the first storm appears. Why? Because the sabotaging mind will work behind the scenes, feeding fear, doubt, and insecurity. The problem is that many people don't even realize they're trapped by this belief. They wake up, go to the grind, pay bills, sleep, and think, "But I'm a hard worker, I deserve to prosper." Really? Do you honestly believe that? Or has your mind already programmed an automatic response? It won't work out. Better to keep your feet on the ground, not dream too big, so you don't get frustrated. I lived that life. And for years, I accepted that inner voice as absolute truth. Until one day, something happened that changed my entire course, something that opened my eyes to a new reality, that there is something much greater for me and for you too. This change didn't come from a new job, it didn't come from a magic formula, it came from within. And it's about this internal change, about this hidden belief, that I want to talk to you about in this video. Because the truth is harsh, direct, and liberating. If you believe deep down that you don't deserve to prosper, then you are sabotaging your own success, even without realizing it. And until that belief is exposed, questioned, and replaced, no matter how much you struggle, your destiny will be guided by it. Stay with me until the very end. The journey begins now. When that hidden belief began to unravel within me, everything around me seemed different. But before that happened, I spent years clinging to the old mental pattern that kept me trapped. And this is where many people stumble. They don't realize that the mind doesn't change simply because you want it to. It changes when you start questioning what you've always accepted as truth. I spent my life believing that wealth was a distant privilege, something available only to people with education, connections, or luck. But do you know what the truth was? The truth was that I was afraid to fail, afraid to try and get hurt again, afraid to desire what I believed I didn't deserve. And maybe you feel that too. That knot in your chest when you think about trying something new. That voice that says, "Don't risk it. It won't work. Stick to what you know." How many times have you sabotaged an opportunity before even trying, just to avoid the risk of getting frustrated? When days are tough and money seems to evaporate, it's common to believe that circumstances are always to blame. Have you ever thought that way? The country is difficult. The salary is low. The economy doesn't help. Yes, all of that is real. But none of it explains why some people manage to create prosperity even starting from zero, while others struggle their whole lives without moving forward. And this is no coincidence. Recent studies in psychology show that more than 70% of the financial decisions people make are guided by emotions and unconscious patterns formed in childhood. It's not your salary that determines your financial destiny. It's your emotional relationship with money. How you think, feel, and react to money defines your future more than the amount you earn. I learned this the hard way. When I worked for the fire department, I earned little, but the real problem wasn't the salary. It was my limited vision of who I could become. And that's exactly why, when I discovered the book that changed my life, something began to unravel within me. My first thought was, this isn't for me. But my second thought, more timid, quieter, murmured, what if it is? Sometimes all life needs to change is a crack in the old wall of your mind, a small opening that allows a sliver of light to enter. When that happens, a new reality begins to form, and examples of this abound. One of the most impressive cases I've ever witnessed was that of Jim Carrey. He grew up poor, literally sleeping in the car with his family during part of his childhood. But unlike many who accept that reality as definitive, he started writing himself imaginary checks and affirming daily that he would be a great actor. He had nothing, but he decided to believe he deserved everything. And that belief, persistent, repeated, emotional, shaped his reality in a way the world called sudden success. But it wasn't sudden. It was built within him long before it was built outside. Meanwhile, ask yourself, how many times have you given up on a dream because you thought it wasn't for you? How many opportunities have you let pass because you felt too small, too inadequate, too old, too young, too tired? How many times have you believed that it's impossible when, in truth, the only thing that wasn't working was continuing to live trapped by the same belief that has hurt you so many times? If you're feeling that this content is stirring something within you so far, make a simple but powerful gesture. Click like and subscribe to the channel right now. This helps the channel reach more people who, like you, are looking to break old mental patterns that keep them trapped in a life smaller than they deserve. This small gesture strengthens the message, supports the work, and allows me to continue bringing life-transforming content. The hidden belief that keeps you poor isn't born from a single event, but from a silent accumulation of experiences, phrases, comparisons, fears, and interpretations that you absorbed when you weren't even aware of what it meant to be someone in life. It's born when you see your parents arguing about money, when you hear that money doesn't grow on trees, when you see someone rich and someone around says, those people only got rich because they did something wrong, when you get a bad grade and someone comments, you'll never be good at that, when you try something new and your mistake becomes a reason for laughter. Every bit of this comes together, stitched inside your mind, and at some point you begin to believe that the problem is you. And this belief, once formed, becomes the filter through which you see the entire world. It makes you believe that you don't deserve to raise your living standards. It makes you feel guilty when you earn more. It makes you shrink when you receive compliments. It makes you back away when something too big, too good, too different appears. It makes you live on autopilot, just trying to survive, thinking that it's okay to live with little, when in fact you were born to express abundance. And perhaps you've never stopped to think about it. But most people live exactly like this, trapped in a psychological cycle that doesn't allow them to cross the boundary of emotional comfort. Have you noticed that when someone tries to break out of this circle, start a business, invest, risk a new idea, a fear so immense that it paralyzes them almost always arises? This fear isn't about the future, it's about the past that still dominates the mind. Science confirms this. Research in neuroscience shows that most of our financial decisions are made in the emotional system of the brain, not the rational one. In other words, it's not a lack of logic that prevents you from earning more. It's the emotional programming that prevents you from believing you can. It's the same reason why so many people get a raise and spend it all the following month. Why so many people who receive large sums, like inheritances, prizes, or bonuses, lose it all so quickly. It's not bad luck. It's not incompetence. It's the hidden belief saying, this isn't for you. Return to the level where you feel comfortable, and when that belief dominates, even talent is wasted. A shocking example of this is the journey of Mike Tyson, a man with extraordinary potential, an almost superhuman natural talent, Someone who conquered the top of the world while still young. He had everything: fame, strength, ability, opportunities. But internally, he didn't have a healthy self-image. He didn't believe he deserved stability, abundance, or peace. He was a giant on the outside, but inside he carried deep emotional wounds, and when someone doesn't believe they deserve to prosper, success becomes too heavy a burden to carry. His financial, emotional, and personal life collapsed precisely because his mindset wasn't aligned with the abundance he had achieved on the outside. This is the destructive power of a limiting belief. It doesn't just prevent you from rising, it also dismantles what you've built if, by chance, you ascend too quickly. I myself experienced a smaller version of this collapse. Before changing my mindset, I had already had opportunities. I had already met people who could help me. I had already received valuable advice. But I destroyed everything before it could blossom. Once, I remember being praised for a job I did at one of the companies I worked for. It was something simple, nothing grand, but it was well done, and someone noticed. That person said I could have a great future. Instead of accepting that as encouragement, I felt uncomfortable. I felt exposed. I felt like a fraud. I became so restless that a few days later I resigned. Why? Because I didn't believe I fit into that image of someone capable. The belief told me, "You don't belong at this level." And I obeyed. A poverty mindset always finds a way to keep you poor, even when the world offers you an open door. Now I ask you, how many doors have you closed on yourself? How many times have you walked away from an opportunity because you thought it wasn't the right time? How many times have you waited too long for something that could have started today? How many times have you sabotaged a relationship, a project, an idea, a chance, all because you felt you weren't enough? This is where I want to propose a challenge to you, a simple yet powerful challenge. For the next 3 days, every time a thought of self-sabotage arises in your mind, "I'm not capable, this isn't for me, it will go wrong, it's too risky," you will stop, breathe, and mentally respond, "This is just an old belief. It's not the truth." Do this consistently, just 3 days. You will be surprised by the difference this small act of consciousness creates within you. When you start to realize that there's a hidden belief controlling you, something powerful happens. Life stops being a sequence of inevitable problems and becomes a direct reflection of what you think about yourself. This is the point where many retreat, because looking inward hurts. It hurts to admit that behind so many years of effort, there's a silent force that has always pulled you back to the same place. It hurts to realize that it wasn't a lack of opportunity, nor a lack of intelligence, nor bad luck, but rather a mental pattern you inherited and cultivated unknowingly. But this is where real transformation begins, when pain turns into clarity. The first thing you need to do is learn to identify this hidden belief. It reveals itself when you say phrases like, "I can't," "I'm not good at this," "This isn't for me," "I don't deserve all this," "Things never work out for me." And if you observe carefully, these phrases appear precisely at moments when your life tries to take you to a new level. It's as if the mind says, "Don't go up, it's dangerous." And perhaps you've never asked yourself this, but why does your head feel so heavy when a real opportunity arises? Why do you feel that mix of anxiety and inadequacy when something good knocks on your door? Have you ever stopped to think that it's precisely then that your hidden belief appears? I recall a specific episode that made this very clear to me. I was still working as a firefighter, and a colleague told me about a job offer that paid more and offered opportunities for growth. He insisted that I try, saying I had potential. I even agreed to take the information, but when I got home and looked at the paper with the details, something inside me froze. My heart raced, my hands sweated, and a voice echoed, "Who do you think you are? This is too big for you." Without thinking much, I crumpled the paper and threw it away. I literally threw away an opportunity because deep down, I believed I wasn't worthy of it. At that moment, I still didn't have the emotional framework to break through that invisible barrier. This is the kind of prison I'm talking about. The prison that keeps you poor even before the world denies you anything. Identifying this belief is the first step, but replacing it is the second, and perhaps the most important. And here I want you to understand something essential. You don't replace a belief with brute force, with empty affirmations, or with mechanically repeated phrases. You replace a belief by creating a new emotional experience. The human mind doesn't change with logic. It changes with emotion. That's why so many people affirm positive phrases for months but don't see real change. They say one thing, but feel another. And the mind always obeys what you feel, not what you recite. So how do you create this new emotional experience? Start small. Visualize situations that represent the life you desire, not as a distant dream, but as something that is already present. Imagine yourself making financial decisions with confidence. Imagine yourself entering environments you once thought weren't for you. Imagine yourself conversing with people who once intimidated you. Imagine yourself living with dignity, abundance, tranquility. And above all, imagine what it would feel like to finally allow yourself to prosper. Don't just think about the scene. Think about what it evokes within you, in your chest, in your breath, in your posture. You need to feel this new identity before you live it. And this isn't idealism, it's science. Recent research in neuroplasticity shows that the brain doesn't vividly distinguish between a real experience and an intensely visualized experience. If you feel the emotion, the brain registers it as learning. And when this emotion is repeated, even for a few minutes each day, your mind begins to create a new internal pathway, a new reference. You stop believing the old narrative and start living a new one. And from there, your actions change, your posture changes, your gaze changes, and inevitably, your results change too. But there's a delicate point here. You need to free yourself from the habit of comparison. Because comparison is one of the most powerful tools a limiting belief uses to keep you small. When you look at someone who is already at a higher level, you think, I'll never get there. But what if instead you asked, what can I learn from this? Many people become paralyzed because they believe they need to make grand gestures to transform their lives. But the truth is that big changes start with small actions. You don't need to change everything today. You just need to change one small decision repeated every day. And here's something to reflect on deeply. The most dangerous poverty isn't of the pocket, it's of the mind. It's the poverty that makes you retreat when you should advance. It's the poverty that makes you accept crumbs when you should demand abundance. It's the poverty that prevents you from recognizing your own worth. It's not about money, it's about identity. Now that you've recognized this hidden belief, identified how it formed, and begun to understand the emotional impact it has on every decision in your life, it's time to consolidate the transformation. Because true change doesn't happen the instant you understand something. It happens when that understanding becomes a habit, a way of living, a new identity you silently adopt every day, even when no one is watching. And this is where so many people give up, because they expect to feel confident before taking action, but confidence doesn't arrive before action. Confidence is born from repeated action. It's like rekindling a flame that has been extinguished for years. First you feel just a spark, then a timid warmth, and only later does it become a flame strong enough to illuminate an entire path. I know what it's like to face this internal resistance, because when I started my journey, everything within me screamed that it was safer to stay where I was. There was no logic in believing I could build a better life. I had no education, no important contacts, no inspiring career path. I had accumulated failures, temporary jobs, debts, and a profound sense of inadequacy. But even so, I started to act differently, in small, hesitant ways, but differently. And do you know what happened? Every action that went against the old belief weakened the voice that said I wasn't capable a little more. And that's exactly what will happen to you as long as you start and don't stop. The practical way to consolidate this new mindset is by building 3 pillars: decision, repetition, and environment. Decision is the act of internally declaring that you are willing to break away from the old pattern, even if you still feel fear. Repetition is what transforms this decision into a new neural pathway, creating a mind that begins to operate from abundance and no longer from scarcity. And environment is what sustains your transformation when motivation falters, because it will falter. The environment isn't just the place you live, but the people you talk to, the content you consume, the habits you cultivate, and even how you organize your physical space. Have you noticed how cluttered environments drain energy? How negative people weaken your drive? How certain online content makes you feel smaller, incapable, or behind? The environment silently shapes what you believe is possible. And here's a crucial point. You can't keep thinking like someone emotionally poor while striving to live prosperously. No amount of prosperity can truly last when your mind is still burdened by the weight of the past. Behavioral studies reveal that individuals who radically transform their lives start with micro-habits. 5 minutes of visualization in the morning, 20 minutes of transformative reading daily, weekly financial organization, small personal challenges that build autonomy and courage. It's not about making grand gestures, it's about consistent, small steps. Your mind builds identity from what you do repeatedly, and what you do repeatedly shapes the future you experience. I want you to imagine now for a moment what your life would be like in 6 months if you started today to act like someone who truly believes in their own potential. Imagine waking up knowing you're no longer guided by fear, guilt, or scarcity. Imagine making decisions with clarity without that knot in your stomach. Imagine looking at opportunities and feeling excitement instead of paralysis. Imagine finally feeling that you're on the right path, not because something magical happened externally, but because something powerful shifted within you. And for you to experience this concretely, I want to give you one final challenge. For the next 7 days before you sleep, you're going to write on a piece of paper a single phrase, simple, direct, and transformative. I allow prosperity to enter my life. After that, you'll close your eyes for 1 minute and imagine what it would be like to live with that permission. 1 minute only. That's enough to rekindle the inner fire you might have let die out, perhaps for decades. This is the kind of small gesture that changes entire trajectories. And I tell you something from the bottom of my heart. You're not stuck because you're weak, incapable, or unlucky. You're stuck because you believed a lie about yourself for too long. But once you see the lie, it can no longer control you. From now on, everything you do will be a construction. Sometimes slow, sometimes fast, but always growing, towards a life more aligned with who you truly are, not who the past tried to convince you you were. Now, take this with you. No one changes their life while holding on to the same identity. You need to release what brought you here to reach what awaits you ahead. And when you take the first step, no matter how small, you'll notice something extraordinary. The universe responds to movement, not intention. It's in the gesture that transformation begins. It's in the action that life opens up. It's in the internal shift that prosperity finally finds room to enter. And as you let these ideas echo within you, remember this: what you change internally begins to open paths externally. Life responds to your vibration, always. Keep adjusting your frequency. Keep allowing yourself to grow. Keep choosing to think in alignment with what you truly wish to experience. And if this content brought you clarity, inspiration, or simply that aha moment you needed to hear today, please share it with someone special who might be needing this same light right now. Sometimes, a single message can transform someone's day or even their life. I deeply appreciate your presence here, and we continue together, moving forward to the next level.